Hey YouTube family, it's Stinko the Realtor, your Utah Realtor. The transition to a buyer's market is here. It's actually happening. And I'm going to give you the data, but prior to that, look at this. Half of US homeowners and renters struggle to afford their housing payments. And I've been saying, nothing in the economy, nothing in the housing market has settled, and that is indicating half the people out there are unfortunately having a hard time making ends meet. So that's not an indication that things are settling in the economy or the housing market. Now, I'm going to share some data with you guys. You're going to want to stay here for this. Prior to getting into that, I know it's been a two and a half week delay getting this data out to you guys. It's been a busy last couple of weeks planning our Europe vacation here in July. And if you see me moving weirdly, I've had some major flare-ups the last 2 weeks with my neck. I got rear-ended in 2014, and since then I've had some neck issues here and there. So if you see me moving weirdly, I just got to get this video in front of you guys. I got to share the data. Days that were good, I was busy, couldn't get the video. Yesterday actually felt pretty good. I was going to record a video, stretched, and it flared up again. Couldn't get this video in front of you guys, and I said I don't care Thursday morning how I feel, and it's not that great. So if you see me moving awkwardly, that's why. I just had to put that out there because I tried recording this video. This is the fourth time now, and the movements, the awkward movements, the forgetting to switch the camera views. So I'm gonna have to look at things again. If it's a little awkward movement, that's why. But again, I'm gonna get this data in front of you guys. That way you know what's going on. That transition is here. I'm gonna share some stuff with you guys. Nobody has your back like Stinko the Realtor. Smash that like button. Help me get this video in front of more people. If you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. That way you're notified what's going on in the economy and in the housing market. And here we are. Let's go over here. This is actually big time news. So check this out. And actually, I'm going to have to remove myself here. Before I do that, this is one of the mistakes I made. Let me remove it this way. Here we go. So we don't have to restart this video. All right. So right here, we see that we were essentially equal, just a little bit below. And if we look at the trends here, look at this right there. So inventory was slightly down to begin the year over year, and then we just see this growth of inventory. All right, now let's go over here to the actives, and let me just zoom back in a little bit. Now look at this 9,200. Look how much higher that is than in June of 2022, where we saw those major 15% price drops, almost $100,000 off the median. And look at this in June of 2023. Look at the inventory, and actually we're at 9,400. The way that this data on the MLS gets assessed is a little bit different here on this sheet, but we're at 9,400 actually. Now, where does 9,400 take us? Well, I said the units don't peak until October, which is different. So this is actually different than what it used to be prior to the pandemic. The inventory would actually peak sometime in end of August or sometime in September. So let me remove myself here. Look at this. Now we have 9,200. It's actually 9,400, which is equal to what we had when we peaked in October of 2023. And in October of 2022, it was 10,200 here. It was actually 10,400, 10,500. So this is off just a tad bit. And this right here was about 9,600 and something, almost 9,700. However, that 9,400 is essentially what we were at last year in October, and we're in June, right? So where are we going to be here in July? I mean, we potentially could be hitting that 10,000 at the end of June, maybe sometime in July. And that's what we hit in October of 2022 and 2023. And then what happened when that peak hit and the inventory was going up? Well, I'm going to share that with you guys here. I got the data. I got you like nobody else does here. Keep it real with you guys. So let me there we go. So right here, May of 2022, let me pull this up. There we go. $600,000 was the median price. Then we saw 9 consecutive months of price drops all the way down to $510,000. And then we saw the uptick in 2023. Well, the reason is inventory was negative, right? I mean, inventory, all of a sudden, the listings hitting the market were negative. Look at that. 1,000 negative listings hitting the market. Well, that trend has changed here in 2024. 500 more, 507, 534, 1,124 more units in April, and almost 1,000 more in May as well. So now we are seeing inventory. We're seeing inventory hitting at a much, much higher pace. Look, if you're a seller, you need to get your house on the market ASAP. If you're a buyer, well, that second half potentially per the data is going to give you much better deals. And that transition is here. I actually had my inspector call me and he says, hey Dinko, you're the numbers guy. I know you were talking about that slowdown coming. I had a great, January, February, March, April, and beginning of May, and then about 3 weeks ago, things have started slowing down for me. And I said, yep, that's exactly what I was thinking. The first gauge would be Memorial Day weekend. And he said, man, you were right on. And actually, I wasn't even going to share that with you guys. Then I had a buddy that I spoke to yesterday. So maybe that flare up on my neck was actually a good thing, because I wouldn't have had this information for you guys. And of course, I've talked to a bunch of other realtors. I have realtors in my office. The showings on listings, on my listings, I have 4 or 5 active listings, and they are all seeing a decrease in the amount of activity that they're receiving, right? They're lingering on there. And this is a trend that other realtors are seeing. So you're seeing more and more competition out there. So the listings, so the sellers are having more competition. And that's why the numbers, like more qualified buyers are out there. The data, I actually couldn't find that. I have to find that for you guys in the next video. But the applications are actually much higher in the higher price ranges than they are in the lower price ranges. But wouldn't that skew the data, skew the information? It definitely would, right? Now, let me make sure. Yep, okay, cool. I'm still on the camera. I don't want to restart this. I restarted it, like I said, 3 or 4 times. Anyway, you're seeing this transition. I'm hearing it from people in my office, from other realtors, and a good buddy of mine. He says, man, the springtime was good, but man, my phone's not ringing. Buyers are just not really coming out there anymore. I told everybody, and he's actually a straight shooter, so I actually like talking to him. He said, I've been telling everybody, get your house on the market in April. So same data, same things that I've been giving people, saying March, April, May. And he says, I was anticipating this slowdown. It's been happening since 2022, and nothing has settled. So he's a guy that keeps it real, and so I actually like talking to him. But realtors out there are saying all the different kinds of stuff, but when they're talking to me, I get the real scope of the things, that they are slowing down, that the listings are getting less and less showings. So anyway, we're seeing this growth here. We're seeing the growth in the inventory. And then let me actually pull up the data over here, and we're going to go through this here real quick. So active listings, we see that they're going up. Entered listings, well, we know that the entered listings are going up right here every single month. We just see that. And then right here, sold listings. Now check this out. Sold listings are essentially equal, slightly less, or slightly more. So right here, oh, I am actually on there blocking that. So right here, we were up in 2024 compared to 2023, about 200 plus units. Right here, it was about 100 units in February. And then in March, it was about 250 units less. And then in April, it was about 200 units more. And then May was pretty much identical. So I guess you could say January through May, we have an increase of 200 sales. Whoopity-doo, we have an increase of 200 sales, but yet look at the inventory that's hitting the market, right? So 200 sales when you're having 3,000 houses extra hitting the market. Now, the reason that you're not seeing that net gain of 3,000, right, we're almost at 2,000, is because more of that is new construction. I'm actually gonna have to try to dig a little bit more, but new construction keeps having a higher and higher share. And what they do is they alternate through their listings. They put one up, they take it off so it doesn't accumulate those days on the market. They put another one on, and they don't put all their inventory on at once. And then right here, when we're looking at this, so the sales, check this out. Sales in 2019, the last pre-pandemic year, were 47,700. Then if we compare 2023, this is actually comparing it to 2019, not the high of 2020 here of 52,400 units. So we have 13,000 less in 2023. Well, let's say we end the year at 35,000 sales. Well, we're still essentially going to be at about 13,000 less, or maybe 12,800, 12,500, whatever it is, compared to the last pre-pandemic year of 2019. However, if we compare this to 2020, in 2023, we were down 18,000, and same thing in 2024, we'll be down 18,000 as well with the sales. That's why I've been saying, look, if you're following the data is saying the second half is going to be a better time. So if you're a seller, you want to get your house on the market ASAP. You do not want the second half of the year to come here, which is almost here. So that transition, and look, the data that we get in real estate is always about 30 to 45 days, and really more about 45 days behind, right? Whatever closes in May went under contract in April. Whatever closes in June, majority of it went under contract in May, and some of it at the beginning of June, right? So the data is about 30 to 45 days, plus when people are getting ready to hit the market, you go talk to the seller, that seller might be ready in 5 days, they might be ready in 15 days or whatever. So that's why that inventory, or not inventory, the data is always lagging behind. So the data that you see is actually old data. And then of course you hear things that I hear inside, and I share that with you guys. I mean, I'm not the only one noticing the slowdowns on my listings, on the ones that I have. Other people are noticing it too. And then if we go over here, half the people out there, unfortunately, are struggling to make ends meet. Look at this latest housing market. So pending home sales plunges. Well, if that actually happens, so that's preliminary data. It's still kind of up and down here in the greater Salt Lake area. But if that happens, if we actually start seeing under contracts go down and sales go down, but inventory is continuing to be up, the listings that are hitting the market year over year, that's just going to present better and better deals in the second half of 2024. So that transition to a buyer's market is pretty much here. Again, this isn't the stock market. This isn't the crypto market. This doesn't happen overnight. You're not going to start seeing houses tomorrow lingering on the market 100+ days. That doesn't happen until after summer. And that's when you start seeing a bunch of houses, 30% in 2022 and in 2023, you have 30% plus. So 1 out of 3 homes, houses, units, whatever, are on the market 100+ days. And the trend right now is indicating that that's going to happen, especially if we are seeing this kind of growth on the inventory. I mean, 9,400, right? Like I said, this is a little bit off. And over here, it was 9,700, and let's just say 10,500. Well, we're essentially where we were at in September of 2023 and 2022, when those prices start dropping, and they dropped in both cases, right? We see here that the prices have dropped. They dropped in the second half of 2023 after that uptick, and then the major price drops in 2022. So that should continue happening, and we're seeing that the pending sales potentially, this is nationwide data, so this is not specific here to Utah. And then look at this. Measure of U.S. house sales hits the lowest point in 9 months. So house sales, right, existing single-family residents, fall 7.7% in April. And when they're doing these statistics, when I'm giving you the statistics, I'm actually giving the data with townhomes and condos included with the actives. When we do prices, those prices are just off of single-family homes. That's how all the MLSs around the entire nation do it. That's how the NAR does it. That's how everybody does it. It's just single-family homes. When I'm doing the units, when I'm showing you the data that I have, that's including the condos, the townhomes, and the single-family houses. But we see home sales are going down. Pending contracts are potentially going down. We're seeing that we are exactly at somewhere give or take of 2023 sales. And if we start seeing those drops, and here in Utah, we're a winter state, right? So we actually have a real winter, and spring here upticks much more than it would, for example, in a state or a city that has sunshine, doesn't have snow. They don't have that as big of an uptick. Now, everywhere, nationwide, spring sees the uptick, summer, sees the uptick. And prior to the pandemic, we used to actually peak at the end of the third quarter. So August and September is when sales would peak. However, that trend has actually flipped, where now things peak in May and June with sales, and then sales start going down. So your typical trend here in Utah is that the housing market sales don't start going down until after school. However, now it's after summer. After summer and school starts, that's when sales start going down. So you should start seeing sales going down September. However, we actually peak now in that June timeframe. So as soon as summer starts, we're hitting the peak, and then we're seeing sales start dropping in the summer months, which is unusual if we go to the pre-pandemic years or to 2021 and 2020 during that pandemic boom. And of course, that boom continued in the first half of 2022. So you see the data is everywhere. Now, the housing crash possibility is there. Now, is it going to happen in the second half of 2024? I don't know. Could it? It sure could. Could the housing crash, avoid itself altogether? Hey, maybe they do that soft landing. I don't think that that's going to be a possibility. But maybe we do see that recession here at the end of 2024, maybe sometime in 2025. But we see that things have not settled, because if things did settle, you wouldn't have half the people out there, unfortunately, struggling. So data's everywhere. The economy is everywhere, the housing market is everywhere, and nothing has settled.